Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.
Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome to Ask Me Anything on a Thursday. I am spiritual medium Kelly White, and I'm joined with Renee back in the background here. And I'm going to say hello to everybody. Oh my gosh, Stacy Thompson, that I love that you wrote that trifecta Thursday because we have two very special guests on tonight. Yay! Hey, Ann Margaret, how are you? Hey, Renee Martinez, how are you doing? I think you have something coming up too soon, a big event. Everybody should check that out. Hey, Julie West. Hi, Kim. And happy 4th of July to you, honey, and to everybody out there. 4th of July weekend, I know, which is always one of my favorite holidays. Verna. Hi, Verna. Hi, Hardilia. Good morning from South Australia. Freezing cold here today. Oh, we could sure take some of that, except we've had a lot of that in Wisconsin. So, anyway, hi, Elizabeth Preston. And you know what I'm talking about, Elizabeth, because I know you live not too far from me. Rebecca Elkington. Hi from Australia. Hi. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see everybody from Australia. Hi. Let me see. Wait a second. Here we go. Kim Bracken. Hi, Kim. I don't want to miss anybody. Lori. Hi, Lori. Oh, beautiful and peach. Thank you, Verna. I appreciate that. My husband picked this out today. Hey, Jeannie. Good evening. Happy to see you too. Hey, me. Hi, Amy. Hey, Charmaine. Cece. Kim Bracken. Love that name. Tippy Landis. I love the name Tippy, and that is my stepmother's. My baby grandchildren call my stepmother Tippy. Hey, Tracy. Hi, Kathleen. Oh my gosh, how fun. Donna Ballard. Hello from Kentucky. Oh my gosh. Hi, Karen. Hey, Janet. So fun. Kelly. Oh my gosh. Dodie's in San Diego near James. Hey, Debbie Foster Horan. How you doing? Happy Independence Day. Well, we have quite a show today because we have two really fun, amazing guests on today, which I'm really excited about. But first, I want to talk about this week. This is a week, you guys. This is a very important week. This July 1st, today, for the next 7 days. It's a very intense week astrologically. It's very intense. In fact, I wrote about it on my blog, actually, on my website. And today, July 1st, Mars, planet of war, intensity, energy, and it's in Leo, which it likes being in Leo. It opposes Saturn in Aquarius, and opposing Saturn, it's against Saturn, and it's squaring off with Uranus in Taurus. So let me explain this in English, because I know a lot of people are like, what the hell did she just say? Anyway, Uranus rules electricity, earthquakes, technology, computers, and this whole energy of this opposition and square brings about intense anger and frustration, disappointment on some end. It requires intense um, uh, patience. It's everything about being patient. And this lasts for a week. And on July 3rd, Mars actually comes into a T square, which is 90 degrees apart, with Saturn and Uranus. And that is a very potentially challenging day. So we're talking in the next couple of days. It may wake up feelings of anger, okay? And it's going to make people really restless, and it's an intense period. So a lot of people have been calling and texting me and sending me emails and asking me what is going on this week, because this week it has heavy, yeah, it's right, Ann Margaret, it's heavy energy, it's intense energy. It's Ardelia, she said she had an intense week. You had a fall on Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. God, I hate when that happens. Truly, I'm sorry about that. It does feel it's that kind of weather. It's a very intense weather. Um, and so everybody remain as cool as you can. And, we also have here in the United States some major things going on. My heart goes out to everybody in Miami. That's just such a tragedy. It just breaks my heart with that one. And Gosh, that's just unbelievable. And then, we had the big surprise about Bill Cosby yesterday. That was a big surprise. Shocker, actually. So these are the kind of intense things that are going on this week. And this just starts today and it's for the next 7 days. So please put your patience on, think before you react. I had a long talk with my sister about it yesterday because she's a good reactor. And I said, listen, you got to put your patience on. I mean, it's everything right this week to be really patient. Take 10 deep breaths before you go out the door and pay attention. Pay attention. Because it's just there's a lot of intensity in the air and people are not, they're not paying it. They're not being good. Let's just say that. Amy Augustine says at Gettysburg for the anniversary of the battle. Wow. Wow. It feels intense. I bet. Oh my gosh, Amy. I bet that's really feels intense there. Yeah, people have been crazy, Lisa. Yeah. Do we need to wrap ourselves in bubble wrap? Yes. Yes, Ardelia, that would be a really great thing to do. I'd stay in, and I know it's 4th of July, everybody wants to go out, but it's just watch it. Anyway, oh, good. Rebecca says no ill response to the second Pfizer vaccine yesterday. Fantastic, Rebecca. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's great. Yeah, and Margaret, lots of close car accidents. Yeah, that's just one of these energy weeks. But this is a big one, and it lasts periodically through July. Okay, so I just kind of want to mention that. So you want to be kind of cool all of July, but particularly this week. Um, Joanne says in Canada, they have unmarked graves of Indigenous children from residential schools being found over 1,500 so far. Oh my God, I got chills on that. Wow, that's just amazing. Wow, I guess it's time to uncover them, right? I think a lot of things are going to be uncovered. Oh my gosh. Ardelia says, is this the right time to ask for a pay raise? Probably not. Only because if the answer would be no, you might get real rageful, and I would. There's better weeks, like maybe in 2 weeks. Yeah, not this week. No, this is a week you just want to lay low and watch a movie, relax. Anyway, well, guess what? We have two incredible guests on, and the first one I believe is here, and that is guest number one, Karie Gonia. Come on out,
Hi.
Karie.
So good to see you. I
It's
feel like we're
good to
playing
see
the
you.
dating game. Do you remember
Guest
that
number
show?
one.
Door number one.
Here we go.
Oh.
How has your week been?
Oh, girl,
Right?
it's Kelly. It's not been awesome. I can't even angel way angel way myself through it. A lot
That's
of
very funny.
a lot of death this week. Like my friend's dad died. My nephew had 3 friends get in a car accident. One died, 2 are in ICU.
Oh no.
It's been a really,
Oh
really,
my God. I'm
really
so
emotional.
sorry.
I know, poor Shirley. I called Shirley hysterically crying because I was like, "Oh man, it's just life can be brutal."
This month is more brutal
Yeah.
and the last week has been more brutal. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody, but maybe one of my clients today about that it feels that
Sorry,
this is
Kelly.
that's right. This is a tough place to be, this earth.
Yeah.
It's a tough school to be in. And this seems more brutal and that things have felt more unfair than normal. I don't know. For me, it feels that way.
Yeah.
Shirley is here. Oops. And door number 3. Who's that?
Yay!
Yay, Cheryl.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm so
honey.
sorry I was running late. It's so good to see you guys. To be with you guys.
How
You
are you?
you entered at the perfect time. We were just talking about how brutal Earth School was. We know you have things to say.
How was your week, Cheryl?
God,
Was it tough?
tough.
Yeah.
The energy has been. I was gonna text both of you and go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I did a whole thing on it, so you'll go back and listen. But
Go back and listen.
this is
Yeah.
a tough week, Cheryl. It's a tough week and
Really,
a real
really,
tough
yeah.
month. But really, this week there are a lot of squares. Planets are squaring, and the big planets, Saturn, Uranus, Mars. Those are the ones that bring the most change. So you're going to see a lot of change with your clients. A lot
Yeah.
of clients are going to be needing therapy. They're going to be needing
Yeah.
to answers. They're going to be needing to feel better, to move them on. People are going through transitions. And when people go through transitions, they don't necessarily like it.
Yeah.
Who does?
Because
No.
I don't want to change. But
I think
yes, you're
even
here.
from a
You're gonna change.
neurobiological standpoint, the brain likes what's familiar, even if it's not the best thing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
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 I mean, change is hard. And some of these changes are unseen changes. Kaboom, there's a change.
Mm.
I've seen that a lot with clients. I've seen a lot of clients getting divorced, like very suddenly, like after, 25-year unions.
Really, the contracts were up, huh?
The contracts were up, but it was like overnight. They were like, okay, bye. So I've seen it a lot in the last couple of months.
Did the other person see it coming?
Some yes, some no.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
blind side. I
Yeah.
can't stand that blind side.
Yeah.
And I can't stand betrayal. I
Yeah.
can't stand that one.
Talking about that, what I've had a lot is
What?
one person finding the other one having an affair. And a few times it's actually kind of shaken the foundation that they were on and created this incredible connecting different, so
Really?
it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes something so big and that one person had to,
They loved each other enough to I don't know, remodel.
Model, exactly. Well, from the foundation.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That was funny, Kelly.
Thank you. Remodel it. Because the truth is that affairs aren't just someone, being, it's not just a betrayal piece. It really is indicative of something going on in the couple. It's not just one-sided.
Yeah, sometimes, Cheryl. And sometimes somebody's a sociopath and that's just what they do.
Well, of course, that, or someone has intimate issues, but then the other person chose them. So
yeah, that's true.
Them, that's, so yeah, when you were talking about someone's a sociopath and just wants to get away with something and that's what stimulates their brain, that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But it could be an incredible healing thing.
That's true. I've often thought from a past life place, if somebody is having an affair, it could have been from a place of, in this lifetime, they were going to try to figure out how to work it out, no matter what. They may have been brought back together time and time and time to work something out. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But well, so everybody, we're getting some very nice. Charlene says we're fighting the invisibles. Yeah, it surely feels that way. Says Ardelia says I really, really, really need to be grounded, so I meditate a lot. Yeah, this was a tough week. Well, and so let's talk about what we have coming up, girls.
Yeah.
Yay!
This is exciting.
So exciting.
We have an intensive coming up, and it's called the Roots of Healing.
Intensive, right?
It's intensive in an intense month. So if you really want to get some healing done, come on over. It's going to be intense. And it's July 24th, and it's an all-day event with the three of us. And I'm going to be working individually with people on cracking their code, the soul code. What is their purpose? Why did they come here? What do they want to get out of this lifetime? Where are they on the spectrum of this lifetime? So I'm going to be working specifically with that individually. And Shirley, you tell everybody what you're going to be doing.
Well, we're going to really get into attachment and what is, what attachment style you lean towards, especially in relationships, which is like the big one, and how that affected even choosing who you chose, and if it's something that's working against you, how to shift it. And I'm going to do a lot of somatic work with people.
And somatic piece is what exactly?
The nervous system. Well, somatic is just, it took me the longest time. Somatic, it's just it works the body. That's all.
Okay.
And so, because trauma is all stored in the body, in the nervous system and the muscles, and that's where you have to heal it from. We can talk and understand things, and that's a really important piece. But then what do? It's working with sensations. So for example, I was working with someone who was avoidant attachment, which is the ones that do it yourself person, no, I'm fine. I don't need any help. No, any needs feel shame,
Wow. Is that what it is? It goes to shame.
it goes to shame. Yeah. And so this girl just wanted a relationship so bad. I wanted someone that just would love her and would always choose, what is it? Relationship adverse men. And I thought, well, that doesn't fucking make any sense. I'm right. Makes sense. Does not make sense. So I said, okay, imagine you can blur the face. It doesn't matter if you don't have a template. Just imagine a man looking, if she happens to be heterosexual. Imagine a man looking in your eyes and saying, I love you so much. And this was her body language. She went like this.
Oh, wow.
But her face turned away and she pushed out. Well, she's never going to find someone who is emotionally available. With that was telling me the fear of,
Completely.
And so cut to about a year and a half later, she met this guy she would have never been attracted to a year ago. And he's available. He calls her. He says he's going to call. He asked her for dates a week before. I mean, they've been in a relationship for 6 months, and it's wonderful, and it's everything she always wanted.
So she doesn't push him away.
No.
It's amazing. So people can change.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's at the root of kind of how I'm going to work.
Wow. And that's fantastic. And Karie, tell us what your part is.
I am going to piggyback on Shirley's attachment stuff, and I'm going to do a group constellation around the mother and the issues with the mother and the maternal line. But the beauty of having a smaller group, I can do the channeled healing statements per individual. So they will have one-on-one time with me doing, even within the group constellation, they will be able to face their mom and their ancestors and actually clear energy personally. I'm really excited. I feel bad. I feel like the moms always get blamed. Honestly, like I do so much motherhood stuff,
Yeah. But often it is the mom.
I know.
Sorry. To not look at it as blame. I mean, what pillow did your mom have, Kelly, in her office? You have it, right?
I have it right here. It says, if it's not one thing, it's your mother.
Which, listen, I'm a mom, so I
Me too.
And it's not about blame. It's to understand where the wound came.
Yeah.
We also know with that our parents did the best they could, that it wasn't intentional, unless of course sociopath, but let's put that to the side.
Right.
That it wasn't intentional and that they did the best they could. However, that needs to coexist with, and I get to be angry at the things that they did that were misattuning. I get to be angry and sad and disappointed at the stuff they didn't do. Because if we just stay here, they did the best they could, then we're not giving ourselves a voice, and we're doing exactly what they did. And it's to give ourselves a voice, to be able to say, this made me angry, and how does that feel? And then we work through it.
Right. That's why I feel like the healing statements are so powerful in family constellation therapy. I mean, I channel them, so it's like I feel like it's coming directly from your ancestors, but standing on the paper, feeling what your mom went through, or your grandma, or whomever, and then turning around and facing them and being able to not only witness their pain, but then to speak of your own pain. Like I had this really interesting experience with my mom on Tuesday. Again, we had this massive trauma. And so we all kind of rushed and rallied around my nephew and my sister, and my mom and my sister are like avid gardeners. I did not get that gene. So we were outside and we were walking around my sister's beautiful yard, and she had this massive fuchsia. And my mom is tiny, and I started laughing, and she said, what? And I said, you know what I used to do when I was a teenager and I just wanted to like punch you in the face, and I couldn't tell you that I wanted to punch you in the face? I would go outside and I would pop all your fuchsias. And she was like, we both started laughing. And then she was like, she honored me, and she was like, wow, I wonder if that was like a sensory thing of like getting the anger out, or like, how did you feel after? We've never been in that place. And then we hysterically laughed about it, because I literally would go out and like, because I think it helped release something, and I was, messing up her plant babies. But
she actually kind of validated it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, if we can get to the other side, like,
that's true. Wow. Tracy Hildreth has a question. She says, Karie, Shirley, Kelly, I found myself feeling that fear, that energy right before you are, let me
Mm.
see, before you are physically hit. Oh my God, that was the best way to describe the fear. I'm trying to defend myself and hard to describe.
So I'm curious if it's the energy of what happens right before you know you're going to get hit, which would be more of a, you know, of a, the fear is more about hiding.
Or
So,
is it even gearing up to, oh my God, I'm going to get hit? Kind of muscling in?
Karie, were you going to say something?
Well, no, I was just thinking of like, I feel like if you're previous generation, especially like 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s kids, there was the threat of violence, the threat of being spanked, and like the just that tense too. I've seen that a lot with my clients, you know.
Mm.
So I would suggest from a somatic body standpoint to notice that impulse, that fear impulse right before you're about to get hit. And if anything were possible, what would you have wanted to do? And so let your body do it. You know, if it's a pushing, this is part of the fight response, is pushing someone out of the way or taking off running if your legs feel like there's energy down your legs, or imagine punching someone. You know, the imagery, we're working with the same part of the brain that doesn't know the difference between real or imagined. So that's why imagery is so powerful. There's a very neurological reason for why it's so powerful. So I would follow that energy, that fear energy, and see what it wants to do. See if there's an impulse that comes right after.
Yeah. Wow.
Shirley, do you ever encounter people that can't imagine fighting back, fleeing?
Yeah.
Like,
what I encounter sometimes are the people who I think are afraid to tune into that.
yeah.
And so go the spiritual route too much, not too much, but instead of, or it's not balanced. And so one time I asked someone, what would you want to do? And it was a pretty severe abuse thing. And the answer was, I want to heal them with light.
Oh, wow.
And while that is a beautiful thing to say, more of the goal, you know,
Yeah.
so we had to take it to, if you were an animal and you were being attacked, what would that animal do? So then you can let yourself feel the impulse of the fight or flight. That's just a natural, innate impulse that we all have.
Yeah.
You know, and when we're not able to do that as kids, who's going to, you know, we can't fight back or take off running. That impulse, that energy of that impulse of the fight or flight gets stuck. And that's the piece that we need to get in touch with so we can release it.
Yeah. Wow. I have a question this is an interesting one. This is from Kat Shoa, and she actually sent this to me, and she said, this is for either one of you guys or me. One of us needs to answer this, but how does codependency manifest in the spiritual world as well as with family trauma? So I think what the question is, how does codependency manifest if you're on the other side? How does that, do we choose the people we're going to be with and then get here in this dimension and then it becomes codependent? How does that play out in family trauma, codependency?
I mostly see it with family systems that have addiction that has been stuck like generation after generation. So it's not just like one uncle is an alcoholic. I've seen the codependency. It typically is like 2 to 3 back, where it's really stuck in just kind of being unconsciously reinforced.
Wow.
That's a great question, though, about being on the other side with codependency.
Well, I think, maybe again, it's we choose, this relationship, that relationship. And then when we get here, something happens. Perhaps we've chosen this codependency to learn more about ourselves. Maybe it's to work through whatever it is and for ultimately for healing, but ultimately it would be about, because we are each here to be individuals. We're not here to be codependent. We're here to be individuals. So it's something to me that goes way back in time that you're working. And an addiction piece makes sense. Do you see it only in addiction piece, or do you see it in other ways?
No, mostly though. honestly.
What do you think, Shirley? When have you seen codependence that's not in addiction?
I think it's a lesson into, getting in touch with your own needs and setting boundaries. I mean,
Yeah, setting boundaries. Yeah.
usually people become codependent, someone who is either, using addiction or, has angry rages or anything can be codependent, right? And the person has been trained to be the peacemaker or the one who is the parentified, who was a parent much too young when they were kids. Those are the people that mostly are attracted to these relationships where they end up being codependent because, no, I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Either I'm not important enough or I don't matter enough and I don't want to say anything because it'll hurt them or it'll disrupt the, and only when you do say something and you set that boundary, do you open everything up for their healing too.
Oh, absolutely. Carissa, we have two good questions about codependency. First, I'm going to start with Joanne Wilson. Says, for me, codependency came from a lack of fatherly love.
Yeah. I think that's part of not wanting to rock the boat. If I say something, they'll leave. And that's
Right. Wow. And then Carissa Carrington says, can childhood trauma cause you and your siblings to become codependent?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say trauma can absolutely
Yeah.
cause people to become codependent.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maureen Myers Webb says, I feel I have given my power way in codependency. So when you know that, when you have a realization that you've given your power into codependency,
away. Yeah.
how does you start pulling out? What's a way to begin the process of pulling out? Being in a
boundaries.
Boundaries.
I mean, working through so you feel strong enough and you're in touch with your own needs. Some people don't even know what they need.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
But being able to set a boundary, and boundaries, can be set in the kindest way.
But I think it starts with knowing your needs. I mean, who am I? It's always know thyself. Get to know yourself in a strong way, I think, too. Kathleen Swinburne says, is being very controlling considered an addiction? Is being very controlling considered an addiction? So I think she means this, if you were, Kathleen, real controlling?
Well, we look at addictions. Addictions are things that we can't stop doing, even if it stops us from living, or starts to work against us. So being controlling, I mean, we can look at it as an addiction. But the question is, what's underneath that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The theory is childhood felt so out of control.
Yeah.
I have to know to predict.
Yeah.
It's too scary to not be able to predict every moment of my life.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how much leads back to safety?
Oh,
it's everything. Yeah, it's all of it. Yeah.
All about safety. That's how the species survived.
Yeah.
It would have survived if the brain didn't focus only on safety and finding safety. So everything that we do as adults, it's important to not judge the symptom. It's always important to go underneath and see what is causing that. What is the pain? What happened?
God. Julie West says, what about being the black sheep of the family and your mom always judged you and you had no support?
The black sheeps are my favorite. Hi, Julie. We're black sheeps, like we're your family, Julie. In my work, the black sheeps are always the pattern breakers. They're always the ones those transitional characters that heal everything. But it's so incredibly painful to go through it. It's so incredibly painful to go through it.
And in a soul, from the soul side of it, we would have chosen to be the pattern breaker. We would have come in, but we would have also known that choosing that role means that you would have chosen a more difficult path.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's an extraordinary path.
It's something I think should be celebrated, and I feel like it is starting to kind of trend that way now. Because it's super difficult, but I don't know. I think it's extraordinary once you get to the other side of it.
Right.
It's
also acknowledging what that lack of support felt like. and
Yeah.
maybe feeling what feeling alone felt like, and maybe isolated and stuff. So it's also acknowledging, that piece of it.
So Lori Lutterby says, what about one parent that's being deployed often? That's a tough one.
That's hard.
That's a tough one. I mean, my father was a professional musician, and he was always, it was the same kind of thing where he'd be gone for months at a time and then home, and then months at a time he'd be gone. And I mean, it was always this, it's an odd energy because there's this, what we call a re-entry. When they would come back, and then we'd have to get used to this person again. And then it was like, then he would go again. I mean, it's tough. And it's the same thing, I think, with a parent being deployed. It's tough.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think it's important to just talk about it. I'm sorry, Karie.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just, my dad he left for a job for 2 years in Alaska. We grew up in Washington, and I saw him once in 2 years, and I developed chronic asthma, chronic bronchitis.
Really?
I don't remember being sick before he left. So he went twice. He went from like 8 to 10 and then 16 to 18. And the 8 to 10, I was sick all the time.
Well, is asthma related to fear?
It's related to grief and like
Grief, okay.
not breathing and not trusting your environment and all of that. Yeah. So
wow.
I think it's
and
hard.
ultimately, again, that comes down to safety.
Yeah.
On some level.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yes, Sarah Stone says my dad was a pilot and gone a lot. It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
To talk about it, discuss it. How does it feel? What are you noticing? And for the parent to reiterate, I'm not leaving you. I love you. They'll hear it, even though they may interpret it differently. But the more you talk about it, and it's not something that isn't talked about, the better the kids will fare when that will happen.
Right. Lisa Phillips says here, she says, I have a precarious relationship with my daughter. She judges before she even knows what's going on. Because of this, because of this, I hide things in my life from her to avoid conflict. But now she just thinks I'm a liar. I have issues from my mom hiding things from me. How do I break that cycle without losing my daughter? I feel like I'm repeating history. Karie? This is a Karie question.
I mean, that's a perfect example of like something we could dive into during Roots of Healing. It's like you answered it yourself, Lisa, like it's between you and your mom, and then your daughter is entangled in that energy. And so that pattern will keep repeating until somebody actually faces it and heals it.
And so how would you face it and heal it? Through family constellation. Is there another way to face that one? Or would it be a confrontation with the daughter? Would it be, let's stop all the nonsense? I mean, how is that done?
It's with curiosity.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. When the daughter, for Lisa to still be yourself, and when the daughter judges, be curious. What's the judgment about? What is she feeling underneath? Under judgment, there's, a lot of times fear of loss. So I would be curious why she's judging it. What does it bring up in her that she's judging something that her mom is doing? That's the first step. Not confrontation, not doing it anyways, of course, as long as she's not hurting herself or anyone else, whatever the behavior is, and then be curious as to what it brought up in the daughter that she's judging it.
Yeah. I would also look at what it brought up in you when you were younger and your mom was lying to you. Like with curiosity, I feel like I'm always like, what would Dr. Shirley do? What would Kelly do? So I'll be in sessions and be like,
I'd send them to Karie is what I would do.
Let's be curious. But like, I'm sure that there was some judgment. It's like me popping my mom's fuchsias. Like there was all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it would be really interesting to go back and look at how you felt with your mom.
Popping the fuchsias.
I know. Do you love that I'm so like,
that was your badass side.
That was my badass side.
I love it. It's very somatic.
It makes a sound. It makes a sound, and it just felt so good. Like,
it's very somatically oriented. Part of fight or flight response.
Yeah, try it, Kelly. It feels so good.
I have to figure out who I'm mad at first.
They let me pop one, just nostalgia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tippy Landis asked a great question.
Hold on. To go along with what you just said, Karie, I think it's also important to, because when you start a thing of lying just to not have to deal with something in the moment, it does set up a wrong pattern, and it adds to it then
Yeah.
trust, which doesn't need to be there, and you're just trying to avoid the judgment, right? So it's I lost my train of thought about the so part of it is also just being with the person's feelings.
Yeah.
If she's judging you, maybe there's anger there, and just hold the space for the daughter to be angry. Those are just her feelings, and holding the space allows the feelings to pass. It feels so uncomfortable because we haven't been taught to just hold the space for feelings. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel angry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
very true.
I'm validating how you feel. I'm doing it anyways, but I'm validating how it feels to you. And just no more needs to be said. We have this idea we have to fix it. We have to take away that feeling and stuff. No, person can feel sad. Person can feel angry. And you're just validating the emotion and holding the space for it.
Oh my gosh. Tippy Landis has a great question here. She says, how do you handle a friend that has mental illness that keeps reaching out to you for support, but only if you tell them what they want to hear? Their negativity is overwhelming. Is it wrong to put a boundary and turn them away? Oh, Tibby, I feel your pain.
No, yeah, poor Tibby. No.
That's a tough one.
It is not wrong. They might try and make you feel guilty. You're not doing anything wrong because you and your time matter too.
Yes.
And what a beautiful way to stay in your power.
Wonderful opportunity to practice.
To practice.
Yeah. I mean, use it as a lesson for you that this person is in your life to teach you something and it's to teach you to set boundaries. Shannon Jones, are there any spots left in Roots of Healing? I think, honey, there are 3 spots left, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
It's a 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly.
I mean, we're doing the bigger one, I think in September, right?
Yeah, September.
We really want to do something very individual so we can work personally with each other. So we have to limit it to a smaller group.
Yes, it's September 25th. I think we're doing a bigger group, a much larger group, actually. But this was just a quick, intensive one to work on specific things, I'd say. So that's going to be, let's see. It says, Rebecca says, I love listening to all of you together. There are parenting education groups that run in Brisbane, Australia that uses so many of the strategies you talk about. Excited to see it used more broadly. How great is that, Shirley?
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. There's a film you guys look up, The Wisdom of Trauma.
Oh, it's so good. Can you see it anymore?
They're going to make it public again between, I think, July 30th through August something. But go on to, if Renee, you can put this up there, scienceandnonduality.com.
Scienceandnonduality.com.
That is the co-founders, which was this wonderful, beautiful couple, Maurizio Venecio and his wife, Raya. And they co-founded this kind of platform for all these wonderful things, and they directed this film. And it's Dr. Gabor Mate.
Oh, I love him.
Who is
him.
From Canada, and he is an expert in addiction. And one of the interviews, he said something, and I wrote it down because I wanted to remember it exactly why. Addiction is a rational response to an unbearable world.
I feel like he brought humanity to addiction. Truly, I deal with addiction all day, every day, and I didn't realize it's so rampant in family systems, and the way he speaks about it, there's just so much love and kindness and humanity and understanding. I feel like he's taking the shame away.
He is, because you have to look at the pain underneath. No one in their right mind would do something that would cause them to be homeless, to have their family completely abandon them. No one would. You have to work with the pain underneath. And he also says we have 2 ideas in our society of how we look at addiction. It's a person's choice, so they're just not strong enough to just say no, like what's her name? Way back when. Or it's genetic, and either of them they're not true. Just not true. It's how you deal with unbearable pain.
Well, the movie that
how unbearable the pain is. to
The
do it.
movie is unbelievable. It was actually hard for me to watch it. I called Shirley and I said, I'm 30 minutes in. I don't know if I can do it any longer. But I
Oh,
did. I watched the whole thing.
I crashed through it, and it's not just about addiction. It really is a
Mm-mm.
new understanding of what trauma is.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
as an empath, it's very tough to watch people in pain. I mean, it's what we do for a living. Actually, it's what the three of us, what our souls do, period. But in this case, for some reason, it just hit me very, very hard. It's
Mhm.
done beautifully, though. What a great movie. And Margaret says, yes, it's not until September. She missed it by one day. Oh, I'm so sorry, Aunt Margaret.
Oh,
It was, yeah, and it was free. I think it's free.
It was, and
yeah.
it will be available again. I think they just don't want it to get in the hands of a corporation that wouldn't let it be accessible to everyone. I mean, such these two.
Oh, and
Yeah,
what is
they're
Renee
lovely.
asked? What is the name of the movie again?
It's The Wisdom of Trauma.
Here it is, The Wisdom of
Mm.
Trauma.
And if you go onto their website, scienceofnonduality.com, you can register, and whenever it's available, they'll let you know. And there's also other wonderful things, interviews and that kind of thing that you can take a look
Oh,
on that website.
yeah. There's a lot of help for trauma. It's such a big number now. I mean, it's so recognized now. I mean, when I was in grad school, it really wasn't. And certainly when you were early on in grad school, it wasn't, Shirley.
Yeah, well, because trauma was always seen as a big ticket
Yeah.
item, like
Yeah.
sexual abuse or physical
Yeah.
abuse. And he says in that film, trauma is not only what was done to you, but it's also what you didn't get.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Wow. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Lack of neglect is trauma.
Mm.
Mhm.
Cheryl Marth says, ladies, I have to tell you, thank you for the last workshop. Oh, thanks, Cheryl.
Aw.
She said it helped me so much and it gave me a healing and a huge step forward. I have much more work to do, but getting permission to move past the past was a huge validation. Love you, ladies. Oh, thank you so much.
Yay. Oh,
Wow,
That makes it all worth it.
it
Doesn't
does.
exactly.
Lori says, would this Roots of Healing be good for those of us who took the last event with you ladies? I think so. I definitely think so. But it's all up to you. I mean, we're going to be doing more individual work on this one.
This one is just we wanted to target and do more individual work instead of,
For instance, with you, Shirley, I know there's a long thing they fill out for attachment styles.
to kind of figure out what they're, I mean, it's very cursory, right? I mean, there's actually, you train to do like this 20-page attachment inventory, but this is just kind of to get an idea.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll work with everybody about their individual attachment style, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I know with Karie, there were a lot of things they had to fill out too about
Yeah.
to do the family constellation.
Yeah, birth order is a big deal in my work. Early,
Oh.
obviously, like early developmental trauma in your mom's generation, grandma's generation. So yeah, and as soon as like I think we said the 18th to get them back, but if you can, I actually don't know, Kelly, if they go with the Eventbrite thing, but if you can start to get them back to me, because it takes me a while to channel, and I want to be really mindful of like going through their trauma and being able to channel appropriately. A couple have come back already, and people have gone through a lot.
Yeah, they have gone through a lot. Oh my gosh. Maureen Myers-Webb says, can you tell us what the cost and details for the September class is? I'm super interested, not sure if this month will work for my schedule. Yes, the one in September is going to be Roots of Healing Part 2. And it doesn't matter that we're not in Part 1. It doesn't matter. And we're going to be talking about, we're going to go in a little more in depth in different areas. But I believe that's also, I think it's 197. I can't remember. Don't hold me to that, Maureen, but I think it's a little less than 200 for that one. And that's an all-day seminar also. So that's going to be a fun one too. We love doing these things. Diana D says, I've had a lot of trauma. Where do you even start? With a cocktail.
Yeah. I feel like you already did, even acknowledging it. You know what I mean? Most people don't even acknowledge it. Yeah.
That's a great question. Tracy Hilder says, I learned items about my mom and grandmother that I never knew. I interviewed my mother to answer the questions.
Oh,
wow, great idea.
That's amazing.
Well, see how much that's opening you up?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, did the mom answer? Like, because sometimes they won't.
Right.
Like
Oh,
I see that a lot. So that's
yeah,
amazing. Wow.
that's so true. That generation, they really were kind of clammed up.
Yeah, they were really clammed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's our generation is like talk, talk, talk.
Totally. And then my generation's like, let's fix it.
Yeah, that is your
Yeah,
generation.
totally
That's so
like,
true.
we may die trying, but let's fix it.
Debbie Foster Horan says, could my minor daughter and I do this workshop together for the same fee since we have to share the computer? Not this one. And I'm sorry, Debbie, not this one. We don't have the space. And probably as a minor, I don't know if that would really work. But on the next one, that would be easier on the one in September for that one.
Yeah.
That would be fine for the one in September, honey.
Yeah. I think
So we
only because we really want to do individualized work, and that's
Yeah.
why we
Yeah.
have to keep it to a small group.
Right. Dodie Williamson says, I haven't gotten the information to complete. Well, if you've already signed up and registered for it and you haven't received it, I will make a note of that and make sure that Carissa gets that to you.
So that
Hold
everyone
on a second.
Yep,
I
that's
am
it.
writing your name down, Dodie, and I'm going to make sure that Carissa, our assistant, will get that to you. So we'll make sure everybody has that. Oh, Lori just signed up. Very excited. Oh, that's going to be fun, Lori.
Yay!
Thank you. That's great. Kim Ann signed up. I got the event, but I didn't get anything to fill out either. Does that come in a separate email? I think it does come in a separate email. I don't know. Kim Ann, that's a good question. I'm going to ask. I'll find out for you.
We'll
Don't worry.
definitely get it to you.
Yeah, I will make sure that everybody gets what they're supposed to be getting here. Oh my gosh. So interesting. It's going to be a great experience for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great experience. Let's see here. They're saying Gabor Mate is a Canadian rock star.
Oh, he's
Sure is.
amazing.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
sure is. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had so much trauma and abuse.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so open with it and so vulnerable with it. And you get to see the strength and vulnerability. It's just
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, and Margaret asked, Karie, is your website working okay? Your cart was frozen.
Yeah, so which I'm sorry guys, I keep mentioning this. I'm completely rebranding my business, and so my site is down, my store is closed, but the contact page, the email works, but just check if you think I haven't gotten back to you, check your spam. Sometimes the Squarespace email will go to your spam when I respond, but if you just reach out to me through the contact page, it goes directly to me.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Rebecca Harr says something very important here. She says, as a person interested in history, it's interesting how people forget how they traumatized a person or a group. So true.
Yeah, so true.
What is that? Why? Is it because they're so unconscious? They have no awareness?
That's a good question. I think, well, Karie, do you have?
Well, sometimes in my work, it's an accountability piece. It's like that deep shame where it's like, not going there. Like that wall comes up, and then it's like we almost have to work backwards. I actually just got out of a constellation at 5 that dealt with the same thing with like,
Wow.
grandpa in slavery then beats his kids and ties them up like they're slaves. Like those programs, like it's almost like arrested development in my work, because there was just so much collective trauma and systemic trauma that I don't know that they could have really looked at it or dealt with it or had the awareness. I think it was just survival.
It probably was. And Cheryl Marth says, my mom has a tendency to rewrite the past. Oh, have I
happens
seen
a
that
lot.
one?
Me too.
I've seen that one too. Where my sister and I have completely different stories from our
Yeah.
mother. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have rewritten
Because
history.
sometimes it, as you said, Karie, sometimes it feels too difficult to, to own. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they deny that it even happened. Yeah.
Or they only remember the intention, but they don't remember the action, because many times intention is very different than behavior. And so if I remember, well, I didn't mean to hurt you, so I must have not hurt you.
Yeah, I see that one a lot. Like a lot. Yeah.
And also there are studies, when she talked about groups of people, there are studies, they were curious as to, as an example, the Nazi soldiers that could be so brutal with the Jews and then come home and play with their pets and be kind to their own kids. And they're like, how can, and it's because if if we are kind of brainwashed to believe that a group of people is bad,
Mm.
then we are more able to do horrific things to them because they're bad. So it's more in
Wow.
protection of me and my like-minded people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Boy, humanity or inhumanity is
Oh.
unbelievable.
Mm.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And Margaret says, my mom was a saint, not to my sister in the same house. It's so true. Debbie Foster Horan says, how do you heal family trauma when certain family members have different perceptions of the cause of the true trauma? That's so right.
Yeah, I saw this funny thing the other day that said, like, when I'm in my own lane, there's no traffic. And I'm like,
So cute.
yes, that's so cute. But it's kind of, you focus on your healing.
Yeah.
And the beauty of my work is vindication's not the right word, but in witnessing the truth, your truth,
Right.
it doesn't matter if they say something different. It's like the energy will start to clear based on your truth, your power, your healing. So I would focus on you, Debbie, completely.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. This was interesting. Kim Ann says they say that members of the mafia could be brutal, killing someone in a cold blood, then later in the day cry at a baptism of a child. You know,
Mhm.
my mom and I used to have these questions. Do you remember this, Shirley? She would go to these dinners and they would talk about with a bunch of psychologists and psychiatrists, was Tony Soprano a sociopath?
Mhm.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that? Those dinners, remember during the Soprano days?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some therapists would absolutely say he's not a sociopath. He's working in his system. And that system is, this is what we do, but that he wasn't. And I'd be screaming, he's a freaking sociopath. He's a psychopath. But my mom and I had deep conversations. Do you remember these?
Mhm. Oh yeah. No, I
What do
remember.
you think?
It was fascinating. I never watched the show.
Oh,
I do remember.
you can use your imagination.
I am so out of. I can't watch those shows. It feels like work.
Yeah, I
I
can't.
watched
Yeah.
one and he feels like a dog or whatever. And I'm like, oh, why do I want to feel like shit when it's supposed to be mine?
Tell you what,
Totally.
it was the greatest show ever.
Comedies. I miss out on good ones. I never saw Breaking Bad either.
So good.
I can only
So
tolerate
good.
comedy. I can only tolerate comedy. But anyways, what I understood, because we also analyzed it in like this psychologist group, is that he was bamboozling the therapist the whole time, and he was only going there to find to discover how to present like a human.
Oh.
Interesting.
How to be more human-like, because he was a
Interesting.
sociopath. So the whole
Interesting.
time it was more him learning how to
Oof.
present.
Wow.
It was
So
a
I don't
good
know how
one.
true that is because I never watched it, but
It was very good. Elizabeth Glomsky says, "Is that the same as a family member putting a deceased family member on a pedestal?" Yes.
oh yeah.
It's something that happens when
Mhm.
somebody passes away. They
Yeah.
immediately get moved to the top. I
Yeah.
don't know why
Yeah.
that is.
Well, because the brain has a tendency to only remember the good stuff or the
Yeah.
stuff you need to
Yeah.
remember. It's just like when you break up with someone, then
Yeah.
you only remember the good stuff and you start to miss them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so funny. After my dad died, my dad was difficult, and after he died, I was like, "Oh, he was such a good guy." I was even I rewrote history. I couldn't help it. Um, Rebecca says, "Thank you for helping to dismantle the doctrine of forgotten or unknown patterns." Right on you. You're so welcome. I have to answer. This is a great one. Jody W says, "Off topic." So on Monday, James and I did a show on crystals, and it was a great show, and it was a lot of fun. And she says, "But I had a crystal jump out at me today."
Oh my.
So I told the
Ugh.
story on Monday night about I was staying with Danny. Shirley, I was staying with my brother Danny, and Danny had this big crystal, and it was an amethyst, and it was on a table. And maybe Karie, you've had this experience before. But he had this beautiful crystal, and he said, "Kelly, where should I put this crystal?" And I said, "Let me ask the crystal." So I asked the crystal, and the crystal said, "I want to go half here in the living room, and I want the other half in the bedroom." And so I said this to my brother, and he goes, "Well, how is that going to happen? Like, that doesn't even make any sense." And as he's finished the sentence, the crystal hopped up off the table and broke itself completely in half.
Oh, wow.
Half went there and half went. The three of us, because his wife was there at the
Awesome.
time, and we were just stunned. So
I would freak out so much.
well, you remember his ex-wife? She did. She did. And I was surprised that I could stay there. Actually, that was just the beginning of many supernatural events. But so she. What?
I was going to say, do you remember the thing at your mom's house where you had bought them this huge crystal, probably about this big?
Huge.
Your stepfather was not going to like it, and every time he walked in there, he didn't see it, and it was huge.
I talked about that. I talked about that on the show.
Amazing.
And this crystal cloaked itself in hiding. It was as big. It was huge. It took 3
Oh my
giant
God.
men to bring it up to the house.
That's
He
amazing.
missed it. How could he miss it? It's unbelievable. So she says she hadn't seen or paid attention to this one crystal. It appeared on the lip of my dryer after I threw a small load of clothes in the wash, an even smaller subset of those clothes in the dryer, just a few I needed for physical therapy. There was an amethyst from an energy session from 5 or so years ago. Okay, there you go, honey. I'm so glad that you said that. Amethysts, they're the ones. They have more power. I don't know what it is about an amethyst, but man, they carry a lot. That one wanted to be seen. That one definitely wanted to be seen. So funny. Okay, so Debbie Foster Horan says, speaking of crystals, this is a great question. Which one resonates the best for family trauma? Karie, do you have any? I mean, I love crystals, but for trauma.
That's it. I love lepidolite. I love lepidolite. That's when I gave Shirley, I gave one of your clients. It has lithium in it it's like nature's Xanax. They call it nature's Xanax.
Or mood stabilizer.
Yeah, but I find, especially in constellation therapy, there's always, under the survival energy, there's always panic and fear and terror and anxiety and all of these things. And so I think lepidolite or any of the crystals that clear, like clear quartz, rose quartz, pink amethyst is like on the scene now and like making like this huge debut. That one's really great at helping transmute like fears.
My head has just gone like this. Pink amethyst?
Pink amethyst. I just actually got a huge
I've gotta
one.
Go.
I know, from Brazil. From a mine in Brazil. Yeah. I'll hook you up with my girl. She's amazing. Dope Souls. It's just Dope Souls. I think it's on Instagram. It's just Dope Souls. She's amazing. Her crystals are so high vibe. But yeah, any clear quartz or like rose quartz, any of the quartz. And then I look into lepidolite. Lepidolite's amazing. I sleep with lepidolite by my bed, actually.
You do?
Mm-hmm. It's really,
so
really
it's
calming.
Really good for trauma, probably.
It's really,
what
just
color
so
is it?
calming.
I can't remember.
Like a variegated purple.
Ooh.
It's really pretty. It's like a variegated purple. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny. My littlest nephew, every time he comes to my place, he'll go to this like massive apophyllite that I have. Pyrite. He's obsessed with pyrite, but he goes to the lepidolite every time.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is, everybody is thanking us, and we are going to have so much fun.
You have to go, Shirley?
I have to go because I have to walk and I need to use the restroom before.
Okay. So good to see you.
This was so much fun. And
bye, Cheryl.
Okay.
I will talk to you later. Have a great day, Cheryl.
Bye.
And Karie, thank you for everything. Yes. This is going to be such a fun, fun, probably is intense. It's going to be an intensity, but it's going to be good. You'll learn a lot.
It's going to be healing.
Yeah. It's going to be very healing. The Roots of Healing Intensive. Everybody's saying thank you so much. And oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Charlene and I had gone to the Pala mine. Have you ever been to the Pala mine?
No.
We had gone to the Pala mine. It's near like San Diego.
Yeah.
And I found a piece, if I'm going to remember it right, Charlene. It started with an M, but I can't remember. It was such a good stone. I actually found a big stone while I was there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Was really cool.
So
but
fun.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for tonight, and we'll see you next week, next Thursday. I'll be back next Thursday, and next Thursday I'm going to be doing destiny readings for everybody. So we'll be doing all kinds of readings for next Thursday. And then this Monday, James and I are going to be off for 4th of July. So happy 4th of July, everybody. Have a safe week. Stay in.
Yes. Yeah.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.